So before we dive into this really special, intimate conversation, I wanted to draw upon my own experience with Harmony PEC. So this is all about exploring sacred plant-based medicine. It's, for me, a very deep and meaningful path that I chose to walk in. And so I'm speaking on behalf of my personal experience. And I want to share it with all of you from a place of honesty, vulnerability, and a place of healing. So please note that I am not a medical professional, and this is not medical advice. Everyone's path to healing and self-discovery is different, and what may be right for me may not necessarily be right for you. Harmony PEC operates with respect, intention, and safety and care when it comes to plant-based wellness, and I encourage you to do your own research and consult trusted health professionals if you're curious about this kind of work. But this is meant to be a safe space for exploration, and I hope that hearing about my personal experience helps you feel seen, heard, and connected. And that's why I have the founders with me today, Sarah and Michael of Harmony PEC. It is so lovely to be here with you.
We're so excited to be able
Very
to
happy.
be here with you.
And I know you don't do this often.
No, he left the property, Nicole.
And I was saying when we came in that it is so strange to see you in this setting as opposed to, this beautiful retreat that you have created. And I say retreat loosely because it's work. You're doing a lot of work when you go there. And often when you think of retreat, I think you think of like a laid back spa type of experience.
Yeah.
Where this is hard emotional work that is done here. So tell me, for people who don't know, what Harmony PEC is all about.
Harmony PEC was the creation of my own husband's healing experience and bringing in things that were important to me and through my life experience. So it's a space that we wanted to create to share the experience of higher consciousness and the guidance of higher consciousness, to promote a more holistic way of healing. And at the same time, we want it to be in an atmosphere that was very sustainable. Everything we've done there is very sustainable. And we want it to be done in comfort. So a lot of the times when you get into the more holistic ways of healing, you're not always in the most comfortable of settings. Mm-hmm. It's an adult place to come and disconnect. And that means plant-based food, energy work. We have massage therapists that make massage sound, we should have another name for what they do.
Yeah.
It's just next level. We do Kundalini activation work. We do all kinds of other work.
There's energy healing, there's readings, there's cold
Cold
plunge,
plunge.
there's sauna, sauna
work.
cold plunge thing that we call the EIE, elements immersion.
Experience.
So it's a full wellness place that covers every aspect that you can think of. We can do one-on-ones with coaches or healers. And now the key part of the Harmony is to understand every person that's part of the team at Harmony is in their heart chakra or above.
Yeah.
Okay? That is the key. If a healer is not in their heart chakra or above, they're not a healer because they cannot channel the energy. You can't channel the energy below the heart. And I don't care what course you took.
Yeah.
So you can come to Harmony and you don't have to do medicine at Harmony. It's part of our offerings. We work as guides with people in the medicine who are interested in medicine so that they're in an experienced, safe place to do it because they're going to go do it. So, they've already got the call. So, yes, Harmony is a lot. We have gorgeous cabins for people to stay in. There's 26 acres of beautiful private property that they get to connect back to nature with. And the team really is the icing on the cake because we get a lot of people, they walk in and the first thing you do is you get a hug from somebody. Mm-hmm. And most people are like, oh, I'm not used to hugging. It's just there's such a difference in energy of what you will experience just with the people at Harmony that is disarming.
So let's talk a little bit about nature and the connection to land because none of it is by accident, firstly, but also when you're there really is like a presence and an aura and a connectedness that you feel to the land.
Yeah. Well, we were drawn to it. I mean, we had moved to retire across the water from where we are. And the property definitely called us when Michael had the meditation of coming upstairs and telling me we needed to open a retreat. And then it was like, we just moved. And then it came about, okay, we have to find the right place. And the property presented itself to us. I believe it called us for multiple reasons. It called us because it does have sacred healing energy on the land. And I think it also called us to be able to help preserve the property because it is such a nature environment. We have one of the largest private waterfronts, 1,400 feet of waterfront in Prince Edward County, which is, most of them are getting bought up and split up nowadays. So, but the water outside of us, Lake Ontario, is called the North Marysburg Vortex. And it has an energy center that they're trying to figure out what that is. Ships' compasses go off by 20 to 30 degrees. There's all kinds of shipwrecks there for diving exploration. We have one of the main meridian lines of the world running around the edge of our property. And for those of you who may think this may sound really bizarre, but I have it on camera, so I know for a fact it wasn't us in an altered state. We have a portal up in the sky right above us where we actually saw UFOs come out of and
Like,
fly
what does
across.
that look like? Like, paint the picture. Like, I can't, like, I think in the movies, like a little spiral kind of in the sky.
Actually, I had binoculars on one, so there was 6 of us. Again, middle of the day. This is not a medicine experience or a meditation experience.
No.
This is just 6 people getting ready for an early dinner. And we saw all kinds of ruckus. Birds, like this massive flock of birds came out from nowhere and attracted our attention, and we all turned and looked. And this portal had opened, and these flying objects had come out of it. I grabbed the binoculars. Sarah's niece grabbed a camera and actually filmed it. So we actually do have a terrible film of it.
It's real.
But it's real. And I watched it in binoculars until it took off. I mean, and it took off so fast I couldn't follow
high.
it. It just left. But what it looked like a perfect explanation would be it looked like the shuttle. A shuttle, like the one, but it was the shuttle with a orb actually of energy, I would say, around it, a round orb. Otherwise, it was like the shuttle in the center and then this orb of energy around the actual craft.
And the portal itself is just like a big spark of light that you see a brightness in the air where you just see this white, bright light, and then it zaps shut. Like it's just like literally just goes whoosh, like that. And these things came out of it, and as soon as they came out, it just closed up, and they went shooting across the sky. It was really something. So there's something, like you say, it's sacred land, and it's indigenous land at one time as well. So we feel a lot of the elders. Michael has witnessed elders on the property.
Many times.
Yeah.
But another reason we're there is I've worked with a lot of different seers and energy healers and many different people, and some very, very highly effective ones. And we were told we needed to stay in this spot, on not necessarily directly where Harmony is located, though it's a perfect spot, but in that bay. Okay, we have to be on that bay, attached to that water. So according to this person, we are involved in a very big event that will be coming in the fall of 2026, that will be done on the Harmony property. That there is a major shift happening in the world, an energetic shift. And so this land is part of that. It's on the meridian, it's on Lake Ontario, part of the main waterway. And so this land will help the energy shift that we are helping to create travel through the world.
Let's talk a little bit about that, because I think this kind of there's more awareness to this sort of work, I think, now, as opposed to, say, even like 20 years ago and more.
Yeah.
You were saying that the last time that things were kind of in this sense where people were exploring this was like back in the 60s.
Yep.
When there was a lot of activism and, you know, artists were the ones speaking
They
about
always
their...
are.
Right. So why do you think, and like you're saying, next year, what is the timing all of this? What does this mean? And why are we needing this, or why are we exploring this now?
There's Some major changes. Okay, so
It's hard to
big
say.
question. Yeah.
you might have to
start?
edit some of the stuff I talk about here. Okay, just so FYI, I'm giving you, because I'm going to be blunt here and
I
explain it to
want
you.
that. I want you to be blunt, but also explain it to someone who has no idea
Okay.
what the heck you are talking about.
Okay, you might end up editing some of this. Okay, because it's not about, it's just the whole subject in
Yeah.
itself is beyond what some people are ready to hear and understand. So I'm going to be really blunt between me and Nicole here. The world is shifting from a third density to a fourth density. We have been in a 75,000 year long year. It has 3 semesters, about 25,000, 26,000 years each. We're in the final semester of this 75,000 year long year. And when it ends, the whole game resets.
Okay.
Okay?
And this happens every
75,000 years, but it's not, and then you've got a period where after it resets, everything's got to settle again, and then it will start up again. But it basically happens on clockwork. And now these 25,000 year periods that come, these are major events that happen in our world, like the Great Flood, like the sinking of Atlantis. This is no small stuff that takes place. This changes everything. We're at the end of the third cycle. So we're at the end of the seventh. This is the big one that's coming. This is it. Now, is this an end? No, there's no such thing as an end. That is fear speaking. There's no such thing as an end, but it is an end of this cycle. Okay? And everybody, no matter what, will be moving forward to one vibration or another to continue their journey. Okay? It's not their life because there's no such thing as death. Okay? When I say continue your journey is with a body, and then it'll be without a body, and then it'll be with a body, and then it'll be without a body. And once you leave this third density, what people will term the third dimension, which is not an accurate term, so you'll think it's a different place, and these dimensions are different places. It's not the way that it is, okay? It's densities or planes of existence because they all literally sit on top of one another. And it's the vibration that you can tune into on which density.
That puts you on whichever
right.
density. Okay.
And it's your vibration. So in our world, we live in a third density world, a 3D world. And yet there are 7 different chakras. Each of them is a different vibration. And the people living in one chakra do not live basically in the same world as people that live in a different chakra. It's the same physical world, but nothing they perceive is the same.
Understood.
Nothing. Okay?
Because they're coming at it from a different perspective.
Right. A root chakra person is going to look at the world in complete fear and everything is danger. A heart chakra living in the heart, they're going to look at it as perfect and everything is beautiful and perfect and it's all one. And a person in the crown chakra who has reached their crown chakra and have been able to open infinite intelligence and the infinite creator is going to see how everything works together. As they're going to see the literal breakdown and how the energy flows and creates reality. So they're all going to see something differently. We're at the end of this period. This has been coming for a long time. Back in the 60s, this is the beginning of what we would have called the harvest. This is the time that we're in now.
So all those years you're saying have been like preparation.
We've been in this energy since the 60s. Okay? But it's like anything else, you get a cancerous growth inside. Well, you don't know until it comes to the surface. And by the time it comes to the surface, you're in trouble.
Right.
Okay? Well, this has been under the surface for a long, long, long time. Now, it tried to come out. A movement came out in the 60s, and the medicine workers left the jungles, and they came out, and we began the medicine revolution, because the medicine, I'm going to be blunt, is the fruit of the tree of good and evil. That's literally what the medicine is. It is the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil that they speak of biblically.
Right.
And if you ingest this medicine, You're going to find out the truth. The veil's going to drop.
That you are the light.
That you are the whole creator of your reality. So the three truths that you will go through on this journey, first is the love and acceptance of yourself. That's the small journey. That's the stuff everybody talks about when they come to say, this is kindergarten, folks. Okay? We're just clearing the slate so that we can bring the light into you and so you can find out how big you are. And it won't come in while you got this shit going on and you're filled with fear. So first you have to love yourself. You have to accept yourself. And it's creating a balance. It doesn't mean you're perfect. It means you've balanced and you understand the other side of the equation. You don't have to agree with it, but you need to understand it fully on why those people do it that way. To stop the judgment and the prejudice. Okay? The second stage is the love of other self. Well, the truth, it's all one. There is only consciousness. We know this from quantum physics. We've known it for over 100 years. We just won't believe it. Okay? Every guru, every ascended master has come back and told us the same thing, whether it be Jesus or Buddha or Krishna or Muhammad. They've all told us over and over and over again, you are the light. It's all one. They've told us over and over. We build churches for them and then we don't believe it.
And then number 3
is the beginning of everything. It's where we start everything. So this began back in the 60s. When this movement started, the medicines came out, they went through the populace. It's the music and the medicine holder that creates a ceremonial effect. And it's all three, they're necessary. And the government squashed the movement at this time. Okay, now it came through the art world and the music world because this is where the truth always comes from. It does not come from your history books. Your history books are only written by the winners. The other side has no say. So is this truth? No, it's never actually truth. It's the agenda that you're going to be conditioned to believe. Okay? And we change the history all of the time. So we're banning books throughout North America so that you won't read what horrible people we've been in the past.
Right.
Okay? And that way we can just pretend it didn't happen and forget about it. Okay? So this began back in the 60s. It got squashed. Now it is coming back, and it came out at that time because that was the beginning of the harvest, which is the getting ready for this cultivation of souls, to be honest, to move forward in their progression. Okay? So they can do the next lesson. This is like a school. It's a school of the heart. And it's to learn how to love, learn what freedom is. Now, when I say love, I'm not quoting from the Hallmark cards, DeBoer's diamond, possessive love.
Yeah.
This is basically nonsense. If you don't behave the way I want you to behave, I don't love you anymore. See, that's not love. That's manipulation and control. Okay? Love is acceptance without judgment. So love is what we call unconditional love. There's no such thing as unconditional love. There's love and there's no love. Okay? Because if love has a condition, it is not love, is it?
Yeah.
So how could you have unconditional love if you can't have conditional love?
Right.
There's love, acceptance without judgment. I see you, I accept you as you are. Not trying to change you. How many couples do you know where they're trying to change each other? This is not love. Okay? I see you, I accept you completely as you are, your greatness, your foibles, and all of the above. So in the 60s, it came out, we had tremendously poor human rights. If you were a woman, for instance, you had very little rights. If you were of color, you had no rights. This came out to actually battle that. We came out with Martin Luther King. It came out after Rosa Parks. And we did make progress, but it did get squashed and stopped. We didn't solve the problem, but we took it out of the visible world. It was still in the invisible world. The prejudice is still there today. It's just a little more against the law, I guess, which doesn't, by the way, take prejudice away. It just makes it hide under the ground, under masks, I'd rather see who they are personally.
Right.
Now it's come out again because of the harvest. We are in this period where Earth, Mother, is actually growing herself and moving from the third density of vibration to the fourth density of vibration. 2.5 million years ago, Venus was in the third density of vibration. Now it's in the fifth, sixth, 2.5 billion years ago, sorry, not million. Now it's in the fifth, sixth density of vibration. See, the planets are living conscious beings, and they evolve, and then they're the people, which we are part of this planet, we evolve with her. So we are about to make a transition in the fall of 2026. Now, this was the information given to me by seers. This was also the information that I've received on a number of occasions, but I put it on the shelf until I get confirmation. Looking at what I call the big three channelers out there of Bashar and the Z's and Theo, they all talk about the same thing. Fall of 2026, big events are about to change. Now, a lot don't know what those events are.
That's my next quote. What is it?
Right.
What does it mean?
It means there's a new energy grid coming to the Earth. The Earth is upgrading her energy grid from a third density vibration to a fourth density vibration. Just like if you've ever listened to solfeggio frequencies, okay? Well, right. So a third density vibration is one of the solar plexus. Earth is moving from the solar plexus, which is what we've all been in. It's the thinking, competing, okay? Doing. And we're moving into the fourth density of the heart, which is a very different frequency. This is love and freedom. This is what we're moving from, literally from fear and control.
Wow.
So we are witnessing at this time, our systems that have been fear and control systems are breaking down.
Yes.
And this is
And
also,
not one of them, all of them.
Yeah.
this is why you see so many people all of a sudden searching for something. They don't know what, but they're feeling it.
They're feeling this energy, even though they can't put a finger on it.
I was just going to say, because you can't, some people even have a hard time explaining it. Like it's
Yes.
just, again, it's this overwhelming feeling that something isn't right. I feel anxious, or I can't sleep, or, I don't feel like in my body even.
Or a lot of calls we get is like, I went to school for this, I got a good job, but I'm not content.
Yeah,
There's
I don't
all
know
of
why.
these things, right?
Right.
It's just like you've been on a path for so long, and you've done all the good girl or good boy things, and something's not right. You feel it, you know it, but you can't put your finger on it.
Well,
And
this
that's
is
part
what
of
everything happened, because the system that we've created isn't right. And the longer you'll work through the system, the more disillusioned you're going to become, because you're going to find out you can't win this game. And if you win at this game, it's at the cost of others. Okay? And we're at a point where we understand this is broken. The education system is broken. Okay? The medical, our health system in this country is very broken. Our education, our political system is a joke. Our economic system, people do not understand the economic system. You need to understand the World Bank and where money comes from, and that this is a privately owned organization, not a publicly owned. It's not done. These systems aren't created for you. Anyway, it's coming out. Everybody is understanding. They don't understand how it completely works. And this is what separates the work we do, for instance, at Harmony, from what might happen in a therapeutic session. See, we're going to deal with these energies where you're not really going to in that session, because in order to deal with these energies, it's your medicine holder. It's the person that can open these channels and actually bring these energies in. So we deal with them quite often. It is some wild experiences. And we've gotten great guidance and healing and tune-ups and all kinds of things from these beings. There are beings out there that are our cheerleaders, and they are working with us. They will never, however, breach what is called your law of free will. okay? This has to stay intact. So they will not give you information that will change your opinion about anything. They'll fill in all the details, but they won't give you the answers. Okay, so this comes straight out of Star Trek. Okay, this is the prime. It's the prime directive.
They told it to us all.
Right.
Years ago.
Oh, it's all in there.
You
It's all in
rewatch it,
there.
It's amazing.
But it's basically the prime directive in that you will not interfere with a burgeoning society. Okay, you can't give them more than they're ready for. So we got cheerleaders that are working with us, and everybody's heard of all of these. Well, they are real. There are Andromedans and Arcturians and Lyrans and Pleiadians, and these are all the ones that are literally our cheerleaders. They are the federation of planets. They work for the oneness of it all, and they work towards the light or love, which is acceptance without judgment. And within this group, we are all considered equal. There's different levels of experience, but no one is better than another. It's all equal. There's another group, and it's called the Orion Empire. This is where you hear of energies like the Dracos or the insectoids or some of the Greys and stuff like this. And I don't want you to think of them as bad, because there is no bad.
Yeah.
There is the fly and the frog. You see, the frog eats the fly, and to the fly, the frog is evil.
Right.
But to the frog, the fly is dinner, and if it doesn't eat dinner, it dies.
Right.
So it's called nature.
Yeah.
Okay? So these two groups, though I am definitely working with the one side, the light, I understand this other side. You need to understand it to create that balance so that you can eliminate the fear. Okay? And they simply see humanity as a consciousness less than them. Okay? And so it is their right to use humanity the same way humanity uses cows and chickens and pigs and dogs.
Right.
So before we get all worked up on this, how dare they? We do it. We're doing it to every creature on this planet that we think is less conscious than us. And we don't seem to have a problem with it at all. Okay, so so we are coming to this, we're in the last 2 minutes of the Super Bowl. And the Super Bowl has lasted 75,000 years. And we're in the last 2 minutes of the game now. Okay, that's where we are.
Most people don't know there's a game on.
No, they're getting popcorn. They're getting popcorn.
Yeah, they're up for popcorn.
But what everybody is sensing is this veil that actually is part of the game. When you come into the third density, you get this, you go through the veil and your memory is wiped. You have no memory of what you've lived before this, but you can affect change. Okay, and this is called time-space or space-time. When we go to time-space, okay, where you're not actually, it's not as physical as here. You are just as conscious, okay? Now your memory is restored. The veil is lifted. You know everything from all of your lifetimes, but you can't affect any change. So you have to come into this physical form to affect the changes, but when you come into the physical form, your memory's wiped.
So what do you
Right,
do?
so your memory comes back, so you've got to learn. You've got to experience.
into-
It's your whole reason for being here is to experience.
Yeah.
It's to learn. It's to live. It isn't to get up every day and go to work for somebody else and blah, 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 and, feed the kids and watch some Kardashians or Monday Night Football and go to bed and then do the same thing tomorrow. It's to live.
What does that mean?
It means follow your passion.
Okay.
See, you gave it to yourself before you got here. It's the one thing you're not going to remember, you'll forget, is your passion. You placed it in you when you got here. And this was to excite you and help you follow your path. That is your path.
And a lot of the people, like we're saying, that are searching are starting to feel that. That's what it is. They're starting to feel.
Well, that's part of what it is.
Yeah.
Part of the other part is because we're in the last 2 minutes of the Super Bowl, this veil is coming down. So even those that aren't ready are starting to sense, things are changing, systems going down, blah, blah, blah. The problem is when you're not ready and you haven't done any work, See, these changes are not bad. These changes are necessary. These changes are, the world is broken.
Yeah.
I don't know how much traveling you've done, but trust me, the world does not live like we live in Canada.
No.
I have been fortunate to travel most of the world. I used to be an executive vice president and sit on the board of directors of an international insurance company. That's what I did before I did this. So I've been fortunate and privileged to be able to travel most of the world and at the highest end. So I got to see a lot of things people wouldn't see. When you leave places like Canada, you will be very shocked at what most people call life. Okay? And it's just, each day is no different than the animal kingdom. It's, can we get enough food and shelter to survive today? Okay? Well, tomorrow's tomorrow, but can I feed my kids today? This is the state. Now, they've known that throughout the world. Our country, the G8, the G20, these kind of countries that we think, we run the world through our consumption, through our politics, through our economics. But we haven't paid any attention to those living literally in boxes. All of this, we just walk by. We are paying, this is part of what's happening. It's to bring us into the game. And in order to do that, you've got to take a knee. No one's ever listening when things are going well.
Right.
We listen when it hurts. So all of a sudden in Canada, I'm 61 years old. And in my lifetime, I have never seen tent cities in this country. And now they're everywhere. What is going on, right? So this isn't to create fear. These changes are needed. If we're going, you can't just polish up the old system and think it's going to work. It was never designed to work for the people. It's designed to work for the controllers. Okay? What about our health system? So all of these, we're watching them crumble. This is creating a tremendous amount of fear if you don't understand what's going on and why it's going on. These system changes don't have to be terrible for the world. If we were all actually, this is a myth, but if we were all in our heart, we could actually do these changes without much of a hitch, because everybody would be interested in the service of all, in everybody becoming okay.
And that's what we really focus at Harmony. You know, we try to guide people to the heart. So we can all start living from at least that space. You know, there's some of them that are going to journey higher. That's their path. But getting people to the heart, for my own personal journey, that has been a game changer.
It's not just for, that's the job for the world right now.
For the world, but that's what we're focused on at Harmony is what I mean.
Well, I focus on these higher ones because they're helping those other ones get to the heart.
Yeah.
Right.
So with these changes, there's going to create a lot of fear because of lack of education, because people haven't done their work, okay? If everybody had done their work, these changes can happen very, very quickly. But because they haven't, it's the people, it's us that
Holding
will
us
make
back
these
from-
changes
Right.
horrible,
Right.
okay? Because we will resist the change, we will go into fear. How could we live with a world without money? Oh, well, you've lived in the majority of the world had no money.
Yeah.
This is a control system, and we can have money, just not the way we're using it now. We need a new system. Okay? The same goes with our education system. We need to teach children how to think, not what to think. Our health system has to become one based on education, prevention, energy.
Prevention.
Energy, because it's all energy. And the truth is, you actually heal in your mind before your body heals. And if we understand this, your mind heals your body, we're going to have a lot less sickness in the world.
And to backtrack on that, that's what Michael has done a lot of, because 8 years ago, or it started before that, but 8 years ago, he was given a year to live. He was on $12,000
6
worth.
months to a year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
$12,000 worth of medication a month, including a live injectable and some horrible medications. He was on prednisone and all kinds of things.
Was this illness that just came about, or was it like...
No illnesses just come about.
It was
We create them. Every one of them, basically, we create them. It's through our habits and negative bad thoughts, holding on to emotions, holding on to pain. And energy can't die. It has to transform. So if you hold this
that's
stuff
what
inside,
happens.
it's going to transform into a disease. It didn't happen by accident. No one was out to get you. It's your lousy diet, your lousy thoughts, your lousy habits. That's what created the disease.
Sorry, Sarah,
and you had a
continue.
very traumatic childhood, and you know, he became somebody he wasn't meant to be, to survive, and he became very good at it. He made, you know, he mentioned what he did for a living. He went to the top end of that career, so it was very, from living on the streets of Toronto in stairwells to staying at the Ritz-Carlton. You're not going to say.
Wow.
You're not going to say, even though this doesn't feel good to me,
Right.
I'm not going to stop doing it.
You're not questioning it.
You're
'cause
not
it's-
questioning. It's a whole
right.
lot better than the stairwell. So that was a big shift to understand how much that created a person he wasn't meant to be, which created disease. What he's doing now, he's so artistic and musical and all of that. All those things did not make money for him. So he became this big business person. And luckily found something he could do that with and excel at, but it killed the person he was supposed to be, killed those passions, killed all of that in him, which then created
I didn't follow my
disease.
passion. I
Yeah.
followed the money,
Yeah.
Right.
just like everybody else.
So that's, you know, that when he talks about connecting the mind to the body and having conversations with your body and controlling your thoughts, that's exactly what he did after getting that news. From here down on his body, he was dying. His superpower was up in this bald noggin of his. And that superpower of his was understanding and learning at a rate that most people can't, and is consuming information like a crazy person, but learning how to take this to heal this. And that started to heal the rest. And that's where plant medicine came into our world.
Yeah. I went to the plant medicine to prove it wrong, to prove that it wasn't necessary and it was just a bunch of hippies getting stoned. I had my
As
Kundalini.
being an ex-hippie.
Yeah. I'm an old hippie, so I could handle it. But I was told by the doctors, you're going to die. So there's nothing more we can do for you. So if you've got any
Wow.
ideas, go for it.
How old were you, Michael?
This would have been, I would have been just a little over
55?
50, not 55 yet. No,
No?
50, about just over 50, about 50.
That's very young.
Okay, and so I'm told I got 6 months to a year. I've been working with the same doctor for years. Everything was just one thing after another after another. It started with one thing.
Alcohol
we added
came into it
we
too.
added diabetes to the rheumatoid, and it just went from one after the. It started with an allergy, and it just
Really?
kept. One thing fell after the other until I was basically bedridden and just a mess, taking $12,000 a month of medication, with no life, no quality of life.
And using alcohol as the other thing,
Yeah.
because the medications weren't working.
They don't
anymore.
work.
Right.
They don't work.
Yeah.
So when I went home from that doctor visit, they called me in, and he called me in. It wasn't an appointment. He phoned me and said, "You got to come and see me." And he actually turns the screen around and no, I'm not a doctor, but I am a former business guy, and I know what a graph should do. And that graph wasn't in the right direction.
Right.
And he said, "This is you, and you'll be dead on this path within 6 months to a year. So whatever you got, we're out of ideas," is basically what he
Right.
said. We're out of ideas.
There's nothing more
there's
we can give
nothing
you.
more we've tried everything. It just continues to progress worse. So whatever you got, go for it. I decided to try meditation. I had tried it many, many, many times without any success. I was too busy, too important, okay, to be quiet and listen. But when you're told you're going to die, this is an excellent motivator to shut up
No
and
kidding.
listen.
To stop.
Right.
As he said earlier, something has to take you to your knees.
You got to go
that
to your
come
knees.
his
See, you're never going to change until the pain is greater than
You
the
have to
fear of
fall.
the change.
Oh, say that one more time.
You don't change until the pain gets greater than the fear of the change. This is why we don't change in Canada. It's
comfortable.
too comfortable here. Okay?
We don't even fight for rights. It's too comfortable.
Right. We brought this work to Guyana. They'd be lined up and people would be doing their work, okay? Because they would like their life to get better. And it's going to make your life better. Oh, I didn't say richer. I said better.
Better. Different.
Okay? Right.
Richer
This is not about money.
in many ways.
This richer, this money thing, this people being important, this is what's ruining and killing the world. It's the people being important. Okay.
So what happened when you meditated?
So I had a Kundalini awakening.
What does that mean?
Well, that is a good question because I had no idea.
What does that
I
mean?
had no idea at the time. I thought I went crazy, actually. What it actually means is a Kundalini awakening is the universe takes you for a moment. So most people are holding their energy in their root, their sacral, or their solar plexus. And I'm talking about 80 to 90% of the planet. This is why we're in trouble, okay? You got to get to your heart and above. And the whole world is holding below, okay? Now, from these three bottom chakras, you'll never know who you are and how big you are. You'll never know what it feels like to be one with the universe and all humanity and the infinite creator, the animals, the plants, literally a oneness. You'll never know, you don't really know what love means until you have this experience where this comes in and shows you absolute acceptance without judgment. And the love you feel for everything around you is mind-blowing. So they'll speak about this Kundalini awakening in many yoga practices. But there's many, many words for this. It's called an Adam Kadman. It's called a Kundalini awakening. It's called a rainbow body of light. That's a higher version. The white pillar of light. I've experienced all of these. They're all the exact same thing. It's the same thing. What is going to happen is the universe. So this doesn't happen because you're awesome and you're nailing it. Okay. And this is what the new world, the new age stuff is teaching. This is not correct. The Kundalini awakening does not happen because you got this. It happens because you finally surrendered. It happens because the pain got greater than the fear of change, and you finally said, I give up, I surrender, teach me. I'm not going to tell you how it works anymore. Please tell me. That's when it happens. It's when you finally shut up and get out of the way, okay? With an open, broken heart. Now the Kundalini awakening comes, and it takes you from your shitty life, and it drops you into your heart. So what this does is it creates a channel all the way to the crown and then all the way back to the root. But the feeling, what you're going to know is you're going to spend a brief moment in your heart chakra for the first time since you were 7. Okay? So you were in this energy when you were a kid. By the time you're roughly 7 years old, you've wiped all your connection to that out, okay? Because your parents said you were being foolish, and the teacher said, quit daydreaming, and we lost all of our imaginary friends and the ability to fly, okay? And now we can't anymore. So this is this first time where you re-experience this, and it's like, wow, okay? Now you understand why kids are so damn happy.
Yeah.
Okay? Because it's going to drop you into that heart, and that love of oneness of all is going to come. It is so beautiful and overwhelming that it will change your life, and you'll spend the rest of your life chasing it and trying to get it again. And that's literally what happened. That's how I found the medicine, was chasing this Kundalini awakening. So I had this. I have no idea what it is.
Oh, he was seeing past life regression.
Well, I have no idea what had just happened to me. Okay, no idea. I think I've gone insane.
Yeah, that's a bit scary if you don't know what it is.
Oh, I think I've gone insane. I go to 3 psychologists and a psychiatrist.
Really?
Oh, yes. I believe I've gone batshit nuts.
Me too.
But nobody's saying
some really
anything.
Strange things then.
Yeah, but nobody's saying anything to me. I feel better and happier than I've felt all my life.
Wow.
And so I figure until somebody says something, I'm just going to go with it and,
Yeah.
and ride this and see what happens. And so I begin this manic stage of studying at this point. And I mean manic, okay? So I'm meditating every day, and I meditate 2 to 5 hours a day. This is no
It's a
joke
long
for me.
time.
This is my main practice, and this is my 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I'm not a project manager that leads people on the weekends,
Yeah.
okay? This is full time. This is what I do. And so that is my job. Just as you've got to write down questions on your, I have to meditate
Yeah.
because I have to find answers.
His questions come through downloads.
And that's where they come from. So I begin this meditation now that I've meditated into the Kundalini Awakening. I know it works, and I go right deep into meditation. I'm meditating, and when I'm not meditating, I'm studying, and I'm literally studying 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. There is no break. Okay. She doesn't see me. She wakes up. I'm already studying. She goes to bed. I'm still studying.
And you were studying the understanding of all of this.
I'm studying everything.
Okay.
I am studying every religion. I'm studying every sacred and secret school. I'm studying conspiracy theories. I'm studying the aliens, because all of this stuff starts to come in. And it's giving me prompting. It's showing me what I'm looking to study next. It's not my brain guiding this. I'm being guided. And I go through, now the studying brings me over and over and over again to what's called an initiation. So what I'm studying is every single path towards higher consciousness. No matter what it is or how ludicrous or crazy it sounds, I'm studying it, okay? Because I find you're going to find out a lot. So I'm studying this like a mad person, and what I keep coming across over and over and over again, initiation, initiation, initiation. Every single path to consciousness goes through these initiations. We have watered them down, made them illegal, got rid of most of them through our thing, but there are 4 main initiations that bring you through your 7 chakras, your root to your crown.
Okay.
The 3 first ones are all centered around your heart, with the last final one being your crown. Okay? So, but you're going to go through these 4 initiations. And everything I studied had these initiations involved in them. Now, we've still got a few of them today, but we've watered them down. We've taken the medicines out. Okay? We've made them like a bar mitzvah, where at one point that was a deeper event. And it was more of a consciousness event. So we've watered a lot of this down, and we've made them more traditional without the experience that you would have.
Right.
Okay? So we've taken the medicines out, and we've made them a parody, sort of almost, of what they originally were. Celebration. Okay? We've taken the real meaning out. Now, luckily, there are some groups that have still kept those things in, but again, they've lost some of the real purpose of why we did this. So
what was your initiation?
Well, the studying showed me 3 paths of initiation: plant medicine, sacred plant medicine, sacred animal venoms, or extreme deprivation. Okay, and this is like the Lakota sun dance. Are you familiar with the?
No, that's what I was
so they will put spikes through their chest muscles, bone spikes, attached to a rope that's attached to basically a telephone pole.
Wow.
And you dance around the telephone pole with these spikes through your chest for 4 days in the North Dakota sun. No food, no water.
Wow.
Okay, and this is going to take you, it's the same as going into a cave in pitch black for 6 months, and you're going to go to a higher states of consciousness. Okay, that's what it's, because you need to. It's based on the same principle as the Wim Hof principle, where your mind needs to overcome, and this actually gets you there. Okay.
Yeah, that's why breath work is.
This is what breath work does work. So I chose animal venom, plant medicine, simply being the old hippie, something I could handle. I wasn't afraid of it. I've had enough deprivation in my life. I had no interest in that. So I chose ayahuasca, and I chose ayahuasca because I had never done ayahuasca. Even as the old hippie, it wasn't something we did back in the 70s and the like. But I had never met anyone who'd ever done it, and I didn't have any idea where to find it or what to do. And so I wrote it down one afternoon in my blueprints, do ayahuasca. Okay, I gave myself a 3-month time limit. Again, no
to
idea.
figure out.
I have no idea.
Just like putting it down
Yeah,
and
putting it
whatever,
in.
maybe how this comes to me, I
Yep.
don't know.
Yeah.
So 3 hours later, my son-in-law and our daughter and son-in-law are living with us while they're looking for their house in the county. 3 hours later, he comes in. He sold his very first home. He's a brand new real estate agent. He was an EMS driver in the city, Toronto. Got burned out, scraping people off the TTC track lines, and went into real estate. This is his very first sale. He comes in the house. He's very excited. He says, "I've just made my first sale to a couple. They're opening an ayahuasca retreat.
Stop.
I want to experience it. Would you come with me?"
Wow.
This is 3 hours later.
Wow.
I know.
So that's
the
how
power of that is, it's wild.
it gets so crazy from there, though,
Yeah,
Nicole.
everything just-
Okay, I show up. My son-in-law never comes. He
Oh
goes.
my God, there he goes. He says, "I want
He
to do it
goes
with
the
you," and then he's
exact
like, "Nope."
opposite direction.
Wow.
Because the anti-guy with no knowledge about it at
Wow.
all. He never shows up, which is really unfortunate. Truly unfortunate. But I show up. I'm like the second person who arrives. Okay, I'm never late. Very rarely will you ever see me.
No,
It
I
comes
know
from
you
my
beat me
business.
here. So
It comes from my business background. So I'm the
Not
second
interested.
person's arrived. This is their first retreat, so they don't know like most of the people arriving. Okay. They also don't know the medicine holder who's come all the way from Acre, Brazil. He is the master medicine holder for the Santo Daime Church, the legal ayahuasca church in the world. This is
Okay.
the master medicine maker. This is like the bishop
you're
of the church.
getting the real deal.
This is the
from
second
the
in
best
command
of the best.
of the whole church,
Okay.
right? Worldwide. And he doesn't speak a word of English. Okay, he's standing in the hallway. I knock on the door. The host answers. He says, "Hi." I said, "I'm here for the medicine ceremony." And the master medicine holder, my initiator, he's standing about 30, 40 feet away down the hall, eating a bowl of rice and beans. And he stops and he puts his bowl down and he looks at the door. Now, remember, all I've said is I'm here for the ceremony.
They don't know who you are.
Nobody knows who I am. Nobody knows who anybody. And I'm like the second arrival. They have no clue who I could be. And the guy, he puts his bowl down. He looks. He says, "Mike,"
Wow.
and he walks over and gives me like a 5-minute hug.
Oh wow.
Okay,
Bizarre.
And then he puts me out at arm length, and he looks in my eyes, and he says, "You Ogum."
What does that mean?
That means you're Archangel Michael.
Oh wow.
So I did about 200 ayahuasca ceremonies. I am ayahuasquero and trained for that. But then the ayahuasca actually brought me to the mushrooms. And it was during an ayahuasca ceremony where I was introduced to the grandfather of all the mushrooms, the Amanita muscura. It was 50 feet tall. If it was, I was like this compared to this. And I knew at that moment that I would be switching to the mushrooms, which would be the medicine from my culture, my people, meaning I'm born in Canada and my people are from Ireland and Scotland. We don't have ayahuasca there,
No.
okay? And as my master medicine teacher that came up, my medicine brother John, he said, "We're not bringing ayahuasca out to get you to do, it's to bring you to your own medicine."
To your calling.
Yeah.
Right. To
So
what you're
this is
supposed
to bring
be
you
doing.
to your own medicines, and my medicine happens to be with my culture, which is the sacred mushroom.
I had not been in this world at all at this point, so I'm just witnessing, thinking,
You're watching him study and do all of this.
thinking he's
and-
nuts.
Yeah, really.
Oh, well, this conversation we're having now, he was trying to have with certain parts of it with me then, and I wasn't
like,
even
I can't
close to this. So it's
understand.
like, I
Yeah.
actually thought he was going nuts. But he was happy. So
So you were like, something's going right.
Yeah.
You do you,
Yeah, you
and
go
I
do
will
you.
support you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he comes home and he had such a rough night because, again, he was on $12,000 worth of medication. He had a lot of trauma stifled in his body.
I was informed that it was, these are medicine people real medicine people. They've done this for a long, long time. And I was informed they have never seen anyone have a worse first night.
Yeah, because all that
Really?
trauma, all that medicine.
It was coming out of your system.
I filled 12 purge buckets.
Oh, man, that's
So he came
rough.
home.
Well.
He didn't say much. He just went upstairs, had a bath, went to bed, slept, came back down, and I'm on the couch going, "Hey, babe, did you have a good time?" Like, total, I had no idea. Thinking again, he's off doing drugs and probably had a good time.
Right.
And he came to sit down on the couch. I said, "Hey, don't you, like, it's getting time. You should be getting ready to go." And I didn't know this at the time when I said that, but he had no intention of going back because it was so bad. He had paid for 5.
That's pretty scary. It's like I'm tapping out after this.
It wasn't. It was so physically hard and so
exhausting.
physically exhausting, and it was like a bad trip of acid. And as I said, I'm an old hippie. I don't need this anymore. I gave that kind of stuff up a long time ago. That's why I went to just prove that the hippies were getting stoned. But I don't do anything small. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it
100%
for
committed.
real. And I'm going to do it for real. And doing something once, you don't know what you experience.
Yeah.
So I committed to 3. Even though I was not going back after the first one, I would have.
committed to 5.
I committed to 5, but I commit to everything to 3. Do it 3 times before now you can have an opinion.
Right.
Until then, you really don't know. It's like a deer in the headlights.
Yeah.
So my first night was bad. That's an understatement. Bad. I go back on my second night. Remember, it's been 5 years I've been chasing this Kundalini Awakening,
Right.
studying like a madman. And now I go back and I repeat it on the second night. It's like, oh, I go back the third one now. I have it again.
Wow.
I go to the 4th, and I go to the Hall of Masters, okay, which a lot of people won't understand, but it's a pretty
whole
big
other
deal.
level.
It's a whole different level.
Okay.
And I go to the 5th, and I have the 3rd initiation. So your Kundalini Awakening is actually your 2nd initiation out of 4, okay? So I have the 3rd one, which no one had even told me it existed yet. Okay. And this is where I started to immediately understand. Oh, no, it's so much bigger than people really understand. Our Kundalini Awakening is basically kindergarten. And now the journey really begins.
And the cool thing about this at that point, then he's all in.
Right.
He's now like, this is really
I've
something
seen
I
it.
need
I
to
feel
do.
it.
Yeah, he's now
And
on
I'm
a
a
path.
transformation coach before I go to the medicine. Okay, so I've been studying. I've gone through Coach U to become a and why I say that is Coach U is basically the place that the Fortune 500 is going to use to hire their coaches from. So they interview you to go in, or at least that was how it happened back then. It wasn't a weekend course where you come back and say I'm a coach. Okay, that you probably aren't.
Yeah. That makes sense.
You're probably not. So I'm already a transformation coach specializing in higher consciousness because I've had this Kundalini Awakening and I'm helping people
And
achieve
you
this.
applied it to.
And I'm getting there. We're getting 3 or 4 people a year. I'm helping them reach this state. This is really good numbers. I think this is outstanding.
And on top of that, though, $12,000 worth of medication. Within a year, he was off of all of it.
That was my follow-up
Yeah.
question was, so what was your health like post ceremony and kind of understanding it, that this is now your calling? Like what happened?
By the time I went to ceremony, I was already off the medicine, off like our traditional medicine. I was already off that. See, it's not the medicine. It's not.
What did you say? It was like 4 months?
I
five.
took about 6 months to wean off all of the stuff that
Yeah,
they.
okay.
I did it with my doctor.
Yeah.
I did it properly,
Yeah.
but I never looked back.
Wow.
Okay, I sat with my rheumatologist about 2 years after that, and to thank him, I just dropped in and I said I
Yeah.
wanted to give you a thank you. I mean, we worked together for all these years,
Right.
and he looked at me and he said, you don't need to thank me. I didn't do anything. He said, I sat here and watched you heal yourself across from me. I've never seen anything like it.
Wow.
And this even has to do, I mean, he has a very powerful mind. So, I don't want to put any misleading comments here. When he commits, he's all in. Like, he's super focused. But he was also on Ventolin, Advair, and 4 to 5 24-hour antihistamines a day. And he doesn't even, and we live in the middle of a friggin' forest right now. And he doesn't take any of that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just the rheumatoid arthritis medications and stuff. It was just even things that he had been on for a very long time just because of regular asthma.
Right, to like cope.
Yeah, but again, he's super focused.
I don't even take an aspirin now.
No, none of us do.
Yeah. So it changed everything. That was my first 5 ceremonies, and that's what committed me to understand not only is this a good path, a legitimate path, but it is going to speed the actual workup that I was already doing by 10 times.
Right.
And that's literally what it does. So I was a transformation coach, and I would help 3 to 4 people reach a Condundalini Awakening in the year, and thinking, this is pretty good, darn good. I mean, I'm looking around and what others are achieving. This is some pretty good numbers.
Yeah.
And now I can run a ceremony with 12 people, and 3 to 4 people will go through that experience in one night.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So how many years did you do that to like learn and train?
I didn't hold medicine for until I had 200 ceremonies under my belt.
200 ceremonies. Yeah. That's
And
a lot of work.
That's a lot of work.
And during COVID, we had his main teacher
he
trapped
lived
in our house because he couldn't get home.
Yeah,
Wow.
so we had one of the master...
that worked out well.
We had one of the master medicine holders on the planet actually live in our home for 2.5 years almost.
Yeah.
He's one of my closest, he's my medicine brother, one of my closest friends. And I was his drummer. He's an Iawaskero. So I drummed for him for that 2.5 years. But I've also did a lot of work. That's not my initiator.
Right.
I did work with others as well. But when John came, we did a lot of work together.
Oh, the first ceremony that he went to that John hosted, Michael came home from that, and he looked right at me. He said, "I just met my brother, my absolute soul medicine brother."
That's beautiful.
There was a connection.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
and always will be.
Yeah. They hold different medicines now.
We hold different medicines. We're completely different people. We couldn't be more opposite if we tried. But that's the way the world ticks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Sarah, you mentioned before you thought that he was losing it throughout all of this. So when did you kind of start to understand what this all was, and you yourself immerse yourself in this work? Because you also didn't come from this world at all.
No, I came from the polar opposite of Michael's situation. He lost his only parent at the age of 12. Lived on the streets of Toronto, all of that. I came from loving, supportive, beautiful parents who did everything they could to give me the best life possible. So, I think the misconception around medicine work too is a lot of people think, well, I don't have any trauma to get over. I don't need to do that.
Right. You're absolutely right. I was going to ask about misconceptions, and that's definitely.
And that was me. I was watching him change all these people coming through and seeing massive changes. Even with Michael, like alcohol went like that once he started doing medicine. Like just one day he said to me, but just stop drinking, and it was a daily crutch for him. So I was witnessing all of these big changes with him, with people. And then when he talked about Harmony in the retreat, it was like, okay, the medicine work is off-site. It's not Harmony. Harmony's a place for them to come and kind of see this world, like be curious, but offer like other holistic ways of offerings. I came from a different point of view. I was going through menopause and having all kinds of dietary issues, and my body just went crazy on me. I'm very 2 glasses of wine and I'm feeling tipsy. So anything with any altered state did not attract me at all. I like to be in control. I like to know where I am. So definitely going into this state was like, no, thank you. But so I went to Michael and I said, I'm curious, can I start with a little microdosing?
Yeah.
And I started that way. And I was out on a walk with our dog and I was on the phone with my daughter, and she's a psychotherapist, and she was curious and she was asking me questions. And she said, so what do you feel, Mom? And I answered really quickly. I said, I don't feel anything, babe. Nothing.
Yeah.
It's great. I don't feel anything. And that sat with me the rest of the day. If I don't feel anything, why am I doing it?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought about it, and then I realized, no, I'm not feeling enhanced like most people would think. On microdosing, you shouldn't. But I was feeling more joy, not happiness, absolute joy.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that I was slowing down in how I used to react. Now I was responding more. I wasn't in my heart yet, but I was starting to have little glimpses of what it would be to be in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that, then I kind of went to Michael and I said,
I'm ready.
I think I'm ready. And by that time, we had started bringing medicine work into Harmony. So I felt if I was going to be doing that, I needed to also walk the path.
Right.
So I had started, and I'm now doing medicine quite often.
Yeah. That's amazing.
It has been, as Michael always corrects me on this, and he's right. I say I'm almost 65, and I said I always wish I started this in my 30s, but I wasn't ready then.
Mm-hmm.
It came to me when I was ready,
Right.
and the right point in my life. So it has brought us as a couple. It has brought our business. It has brought everything into the most incredible state when you lead
With your heart.
with your heart.
Yeah. Speaking of, I wanted to share like my experience, which is something
how we
that
met you.
honestly, yes, how
Yeah.
we met. And it's not something that I would typically, share with people, but it was such an impactful experience that I feel like changed my life, that this is why I wanted to have you guys on here to do this. So and I don't know if I've ever actually told you the full story of what brought me to my friend who brought me to you.
Yeah.
But I was going through a really bad heartbreak. It was like, we had a house together. I thought he was my person. We were, everything was felt like bliss and what I thought love really was, And I've never, I was raised by two loving parents, very supportive. I've been fortunate to follow my dream and pursue my passions. Everything was great.
Yeah.
Everything was working out according to plan. And then I felt like the rug was pulled from underneath me. And to be honest, it felt like the veil was revealed. And I was, seen and heard and learned that he wasn't who I thought he once was. And, it was very clear to me. And it's funny that you explained what unconditional love is, Michael, because the one of the last words that I had said to him were, you don't love me unconditionally. That's why I can't be with you. And what I now understand in this moment of just saying this is, you didn't really love me. And it's because I don't think he understands how to love.
Right.
And I don't think he's a bad person. No. He may have said some not nice things and done not nice things, but I genuinely think that he does not understand what real love is. And that was
I've never met an ugly soul.
Yeah.
Every soul is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's the baggage.
Yeah.
And the damage and the conditioning, that's the ugly stuff.
For sure. And it was at that moment then I said, I can't do this. I that's what I'm looking for, because that's what I'm capable of giving to someone and what I want to share with a partner. And so things like, obviously, and then the demise of everything is when the ugly really came out, because it was about money and ownership and physical things, and all of that kind of blew up and I was just so overwhelmed and so stressed and felt like I was losing everything. Everything felt like it was crumbling and before me. And at the same time, things were also said. And I consider myself to be a pretty strong, confident person, but I've never felt, I'm getting emotional talking, more worthless in my entire life. I've never felt so depressed and low about myself and wondering what is wrong with me? Like, who am I? Like, why is this happening? And in that, I had like gone to therapy looking for support and, a reason to try and understand why this is happening and why I needed to go through this. Because I really believe that everything happens for a reason. And so I was really trying to trust in the universe that this is meant to happen. This is bringing me to a certain path. And so therapy was great while it was. I feel like it got me onto a better road, but I still wasn't feeling myself. I still didn't feel, like in my body, and I was confused and I was still really down. And it was like, I felt like I couldn't move forward. I felt very stuck in where I was. And that's where a friend of mine a former colleague had told me, like, Nicole, you need to look into this harmony and sacred plant medicine. I feel like this would really help you. And as someone who is a complete, also similar to yourself, Sarah, I'm very controlling. I don't like being out of body. I like an A-type personality. So for me, it was like, no way. Like, you are insane. You think I would do that? I was like, never would I do that. There's no way. I was like, that's like, and she's like also in that, kind of like that too. So, and that's why she said it to me, because she's like, Nicole, no, I'm like you. Like, I completely understand, but I'm telling you, just call, just read, look into it a little bit, like open your mind up to this possibility. Because at this point, like, you have nothing to lose, do you? Only something to gain. I was like, you're right. So I kind of sat with it and I was thinking and humming and hawing. And I was like, you know what? I need to let go of the fear and surrender to what I feel like this is also not by accident that she is telling me this, because she was not one to also share things like that openly and willingly. And so I was like, I'm going to do it. So that's when I had given you a call. And actually, I think, Michael, I spoke to you first. And I remember when you called me, I didn't answer the first time because I was with my parents. And I was like, shit, they can't hear that I'm about to do it. My parents going to freak. Like, there's no way. Yeah. So I was like, I have to go upstairs. I have a business call I have to take. So I like ran upstairs. And because at the time I was living with my parents in between selling my house with my ex and whatnot. And then we had spoken on the phone, and I felt immediately this like peace on the phone with you, this like safety, which was really important to me, to be able to like surrender. It's like I wanted to feel like something bad were to happen, I'd still be okay,
Gotcha.
And that's exactly how I felt. And then I had a call with you, Sarah, again, to like walk me through what the experience would actually entail. So I knew what was coming, and I didn't feel, like something was popping out of sorts where I couldn't wrap my head around it. It's like I had enough time to kind of understand what the experience would entail, how to prepare for it, which for people watching and listening, like, there are things that you have to do to prepare for this. You don't just wake up one day and decide to do this. No. So going to Harmony, I'm driving up and thinking to myself, I'll lead up to it a little bit more. So during the week, you recommend, to cleanse everything. So you want to eat very healthy, very clean.
High vibration.
So you're not listening or watching anything that is kind of like, like angry, very emotional or very angry or very sad. It's like, and you guys have specialized playlists to listen to that are beautiful, by the way. So I really wanted to do this properly. So I did all of that, ate super clean, again, like no drinking, no nothing, and surrounding yourself with only happiness, even nature, trying to meditate, get more sleep, things like that. And so when I drove to the grounds, I went by myself and met my friend there. But my whole thought was like, wow, this is the most beautiful place I have ever seen. When you're in the room doing the ceremony, there's this gorgeous glass window that you see the water and you see nature. And it was just so beautiful. But also when I walked in, I was greeted by a hug. And I was so confused. I was like, I'm sorry, what's your name? And it was like so warm and welcoming. And there were little beautiful mattresses scattered throughout the room with pillows and blankets and an eye patch and a purge bucket just in case. And then this beautiful setup for music. And again, like, I was a little bit nervous, but again, there was this safe feeling that I had when I walked in there that I was like, I know that this is going to be great. So for me, I felt like it was very easy for me to surrender to the experience because I really felt that. And it's hard for me to feel that, but I felt it right away. So I led with that. And I'm so glad that I did because it was a beautiful experience. I've been there again twice. And I've done things differently. I've experienced 2 of my journeys were very different. Also, one was very different from the next. But I had the feeling, you know, of pure joy and euphoria and bliss and happiness. But then I've also felt extreme fear and sadness. But I've only done it twice. So you said, Michael, you can't say any shit until you've done it 3 times. So take this take this lightly.
I look at your third one as, you know, you're initiated already from the first, but really at 3.
Yeah.
When we do something 3 times, we start to get three different perspectives. And so 3 in numerology is the number of creation. It just has 7 is the end of things. 3 is the beginning. So I recommend 3. The first one is like a deer in the headlights.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What is going on?
Yeah.
Right. The second one you think you know, but by the third one you're a little bit more comfortable, a little more able to relax and surrender, and you really have an idea now whether you're going to continue, because this is a practice. It's a way of life for us. It's not a one and done. Oh, I'm all fixed.
I'm all fixed. Right.
No, that's nonsense.
Right. And it wasn't that. And it was interesting because when I was, so in my mind, I was obviously going in there looking for some sort of remedy, right? To walk out of here feeling like, okay, I'm me again. I can do this all over again. But what I learned and what the key takeaway was that I didn't quite understand and realize was that the first thing that actually came through for me was I saw my younger self looking in the mirror, and it was me as an adult talking to my younger self. And I just constantly said, you are enough. You are enough. You are loved. You are nothing else matters, And for me, it was so profound because it's one way to for your mom to say that to you, but I don't think I myself have ever really believed that I was enough. And that was a thread throughout my life and every relationship that I've had, that I constantly carry that, and it's heavy to carry. And I'm still learning and working through that. And it's the journey.
I just said to Michael recently, I was driving home from visiting my mom at the nursing home, listening to a song I've listened to 1,000 times before, but I heard it differently.
Yeah. And
I had this moment where I had this epiphany that came over me, and I called Michael right away. I said, babe, it was never all of them. It was me.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's when you have that self-realization.
Yeah.
I attracted it. It was me. And until you change that vibration within yourself, you're never going to attract anything different. And it was taking that ownership of, again, that self-acceptance, that self-love, all of that I needed to have for myself and not look and validate it from the outside world.
Exactly.
And that was poof.
Yeah, it really is, because, and like you were saying throughout this whole entire sit down, is you approach the world differently, you treat yourself differently when you understand the world in a different, when you see the world through a different lens.
Michael does a beautiful, is it an analogy, an example, where he puts his hand up and he goes, what do you see? And to you, you see the palm of my hand. I see the back of my hand. Who's right?
No, we're both right.
We're both right, but we're going to describe it very differently.
Right.
And then again, there's the top and the bottom and the 2 sides. So there's even more perspectives than just the front and the back.
Right.
And that's how, when you do this work, you start looking at everything you encounter in life. That if someone ticks you off or whatever it is, or in uncomfortable situations, you realize it's coming from their source.
Yeah, and it allows you to look beyond your own personal perspective.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, and that's what you need to do if you're going to build community and get along in the world. We have to stop just thinking about ourselves.
Yeah, ego.
And I've got to feel the other person in the room. Now, I can't feel you until I get in my heart chakra or above. Below my heart chakra, can't feel you. I'm too busy in my ego feeling me.
Right.
So I can't feel you below the heart. Okay? 80 to 90% of our world population is below the heart. This is the answer. It's very, very simple. We need to do our own work. You don't need to fix anybody. You don't need to fix the world. Look in the mirror, start there. Heal yourself. That's all the work
That's
actually
all you need to
is.
do.
And if everybody just does that, the world changes.
Well, it did for me. And again, I have a relationship with you guys. I love them so much that I got a mushroom tattooed on my arm. So that's when you know it's a permanent relationship. You're not getting rid of me.
Good.
And
We don't want to.
and yeah, I'm so grateful for the work that you've done. And like I said, I have people who I feel like are ready. I have shared that with them as well. And I hope they feel what I have, and anybody who's listening feels that as well. One thing before we go that I wanted to just say, because obviously I know the show is like centered around relationships. Today was about your personal relationship, I think, with self and the world, your place in it. One thing that you said to me, Sarah, on a call that I thought was really like profound and beautiful is the idea of a soulmate and whether that exists or not. And I loved your interpretation of what that is, if you can share that.
Well, everyone, I could say, oh, I'm with my soulmate. Well, in a way I am, but your soulmate is someone who sees your soul. It's not someone that you just are like, oh, we're so good together. It's someone who sees me for who I am and accepts me and loves me for who I am. He sees my actual soul. And that's what makes us, if you want to say, mates.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give a different view on this.
Yeah.
It's pure bunk. You cannot find someone that is going to complete you, okay? Because you're not broken. You're not less. You're not. But you can have this. You can have an exponential relationship where 1 + 1 makes 3. Okay? But in order to achieve this, both beings must be whole and healed, or it will not happen. Most relationships, 1 + 1 makes 1.5 if they're lucky. If they're lucky.
It's really interesting math.
If they're lucky. Because they're not lifting each other up and making each other better. They're actually making each other less in most cases, in many cases, most cases. A true this soulmate thing, this is nonsense, but you can have an exponential relationship. And this is even, to me, far more powerful. And that's when two whole people decide to connect their lives. And if I love you, and Nicole, I do love you. You already know that.
I love you too.
Right. Then what it allows me to do is trust you.
Right.
Now, with that trust, if I can bring that trust to that level where I allow your gifts and strengths, and I allow you in enough, no more guards. This is the love. This is the trust, so that your gifts and strengths will overshadow my weaknesses, and my gifts and strengths will overshadow your weaknesses. Now 1 + 1 = 3, and we have an exponential relationship.
Yeah.
I'm all for those.
That's beautiful. No, I really appreciate you guys being here and sharing everything.
We're so honored.
Thank you so much.
And I've said this to you many times, Nicole. You have a light so bright,
Thank you.
and it needs to shine in its fullness. So we're so excited for you on this venture.
Absolutely.
We really are, because the true Nicole, the one that's unscripted, needs to be heard.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Love you guys.
Love you too.
Thank you.
Aho.
Aho.
Oh.